Good morning, students. Hopefully, you are doing good, and me too. Myself here, Anonna Bormon from Department of Chemistry. Today, we are going to discuss about the corrosion. So, have you ever heard about this corrosion? Yes, of course, because there are so many examples we have in real life where corrosion is going on. Like if we are keeping a iron rod into the environment in presence of moisture and oxygen, it will corrode. A brown coating will form on the surface of the iron, and yes, this is the rust formation. Again, if we have silver jewelries and silver metals in our home, after a while you can see a black color coating will form on the surface of the silver jewelries or silver metals. And what is this? The black composition, black coating is of course the silver sulfide, which is formed in presence of H2S and which we have into our environment. So this is all about the examples why we can see in our real life corrosion process is going on. Now the big question is corrosion is advantageous or disadvantageous? Yes, of course, the corrosion is disadvantageous as the mechanical property like mechanical strength, mechanical ductility, the chemical properties, chemical reactivity, all are degrade. So that is why the corrosion process is very harmful for any type of metals. Now the twist is still metal have the tendency to be corroded in presence of environment. So what do you think? What is this? Actually, we are getting the ores rather than the pure metals in our nature. Why this is? Because the pure metals are not at all the stable. The stable form is the is ore. Like if we consider the iron, we are getting the iron carbonate or iron sulfide in rather than the pure iron into our nature. So from this source, if we extract the pure metal, we have to provide some of the energy. So this means the ores are much more thermodynamical stable than the pure metal. So that is why metal have this tendency to be corroded in presence of environment, even though this is the harmful process for itself. Okay, so what do you think? What is the importance of this corrosion? Why we are discussing about this? Actually, there are so many machines, so many instruments we are using in industry, in factory continuously, which is corroding. So if we know well what is the corrosion process and how this is going on and what are the factors that is affecting the corrosion process, that time only we can prevent the metals from to be corroded. So this is for today's only. Next day we will discuss about the classification of corrosion. In my second slide, I have given the objectives and outcomes of this session and also some of the study materials I have given. Also in this you can see a assignment, so read the study materials and watch the video properly, and that time you can do the assignment within time. So thank you, students.
Good morning, students. Today we will discuss about the corrosion. So hopefully you have heard about the corrosion because there are so many real life examples that we are facing where corrosion process is going on. Now I want to show you what are the real life examples we have where corrosion process is going on. So we can see these are the some of the pictures of corrosion, where the metal is undergoing the process of corrosion. Okay, now actually what is this corrosion? Corrosion can be defined as the degradation of the metals by air, moisture and acid. This is the iron rod. While we are keeping this iron rod into the environment in presence of air and moisture, a red brown layer will form, which is called rust. Again, this is a copper vessel. After so many days, you can see a green layer will form on the surface of the copper in presence of air and moisture, which is the composition of this green coating is copper carbonate and copper hydroxide, which is basic in nature. So we can remove this green coating by use of acid like turmeric or lime. If we rub this with turmeric or lime, it can be dissolved. The copper carbonate and copper hydroxide will dissolve into in presence of the acid. Now again, if we have the silver articles, some of the silver jewelers into our home after so many days, we can see on the surface of the silver metal a black coating will form, which is called silver sulfide in presence of hydrogen sulfide. So this is also again a corrosion process. You can see this is a aluminum vessel. After so many days, you can see on the surface of the aluminum also aluminum oxide layer will form in presence of the air, which is also an example of corrosion. This aluminum oxide is very stable. Once it will form, then further no more corrosion will be going on. So these are some of the cases, real life cases where we can see the corrosion process is going on. Now, why we are discussing this corrosion process? What is the importance of this in our life? So these are the some of the importance of the corrosion. As because corrosion is waste of energy and the waste of materials. Also, it will have some of the impact on economic loss, which can be directly related or indirectly related. Corrosion process also have some environmental impacts, and it will be very harmful for health also. Now, corrosion is, you can see corrosion is very disadvantageous. So what are the disadvantages we have with this corrosion process? Like these are the disadvantages like capital cost, control cost, design cost, and associated costs. Like there are so many instruments we are using in industrial factory which are made of metals. So after that metals also going on corrosion process, and after that we have to replace the equipments, we have to maintain and repair that equipment, we have to control the corrosion, we have to design the materials in such a way so that the material can be we can prevent the material from the corrosion process, so thus the design cost will be increased. So these are the some of the disadvantages that we have with the corrosion process. So this is the total overview of the corrosion. Now, next we will discuss about the classification of corrosion. What are the types of corrosion we have, and also one assignment is uploaded in the blank space. So please follow the assignments and you can submit so that you can submit the assignment within the time. Okay, thank you, students. Hopefully, now you know why we are discussing the corrosion process. What is this actually, and what is the disadvantages of this corrosion? If we know properly the corrosion process, then only we can prevent the metals from this corrosion process. Thank you, students.
Okay, so students, today we are going to discuss, as you know, that is corrosion and its control. So that is module 4 and lecture 3. Already I have given in my video, previous video, that what are the real life examples that we have for the corrosion process. There are so many examples that we have, like rusting of, the great example is the rusting of iron. Okay, so now question is, how we can define this corrosion process. This is the definition. So the process of continuous deterioration of metals from its surface due to the some of the chemicals that is present in our environment. Okay, so with the help of this chemicals, while the metal surface is reacting, that is called by corrosion process. The corrosion is a continuous deterioration of the metals. But one thing you have to remember, corrosion is only taking place on the surface of the metal, not through the hole.
the whole metals are not reacting, only the surface metal, whatever molecules we are having, that molecules only reacting with the chemicals surroundings, with the surroundings, and having the corrosion process. Okay, so one of the example is rusting of iron. Again, already you have seen, like silver jewelries, we are having silver jewelries, and if we are keeping that silver jewelries for a long time, you can see on the silver jewelries some of the black color coating will be there. So what is this? That is the coating of silver sulfide. Okay, in presence of H2S, hydrogen sulfide, silver will react and it will form the silver sulfide. So that is why on the silver jewelries we are having a coating, black color coating, that is the silver sulfide, and this is one of the example of corrosion. For corrosion process, we can see for all metals, not only iron, not only silver, whatever metals we have, like zinc, aluminium, copper, everything, each and every metals, if we are keeping into the environment, what will happen with the surroundings chemicals, it will react, the surface molecule will react, reminded, the surface molecule will react, and it will form a layer that is called by corrosion. Okay, now, okay, so question is, if corrosion is the process of disadvantageous process or advantageous process. Already I have told you, corrosion is the disadvantageous process, because after this corrosion process, what will happen, all the metals, the mechanical strength, the mechanical property will be changed. Some of the mechanical and chemical property both will change during this corrosion process. Like after the rust formation, the strength of the iron will be deteriorated. So corrosion obviously a process of disadvantageous process. Now question is, still metals are having the corrosion process. Why this corrosion process is going on? As because what will happen, while the we are having the metal into the surroundings, what will happen, the metal will react with the surroundings, like in our environment we have the oxygen. Okay, now iron, you are keeping an iron metal into the environment, and with the help of the oxygen, the iron oxide layer will form on the surface of the metal. Now this is the corrosion process. Now why this iron oxide layer is forming? Because the pure iron metal is not stable at all. To form a stable compound, to gain the stability, thermodynamical stability, the metal is having a tendency to be corroded in presence of the surroundings. Okay, in presence of any type of chemicals, right? So the main clue is why corrosion is taking place, as because the metals want to gain the thermodynamical stability, and after the corrosion process, while they are forming oxide layer, while they are forming hydroxide layer or carbonate layer or sulfate or sulfide, that will become more stable. That is why, and that is why only in nature we are getting the ores, not the pure metal. We are not getting pure metal from the nature, only we are getting the pure ores from the nature, and from that ores we are extracting the metal by providing some of the energy, as because pure metals are having energetically high. Okay, so corrosion, why corrosion process is going on? As because the corrosion, uh, to gain the stability, the corrosion process, thermodynamical stability, okay, mainly. So the corrosion process is taking place, all the metals are going through this corrosion process. Okay, uh, Now, some of the different types of corrosion. One more thing, I have already told you what are the effects of corrosion. Effects of corrosion, like in industry, in factory, we are generally using what? So many instruments are made of metals, right? Okay, so what will happen if they're having the corrosion process? That means we have to keep in mind that the material, the machines, the instruments that we have to prevent from the corrosion process, and that is why the maintenance charge will be very high. Second is, we have to synthesize the materials in such a way so that the corrosion process will be decreasing, the rate of the corrosion process will decrease. So these are the some of the effects that we have after the corrosion process. And also after corrosion process, the metals, some of the property will of the metals will be deteriorated. That is why the corrosion is a disadvantageous process. Okay, now now we will discuss about the what are the types of corrosion process that we have. First of all, we have there are two types of corrosion process that we have. One is chemical corrosion, that you can see. One is chemical corrosion, and one is wet corrosion or electrochemical corrosion. So, first classification is chemical or dry corrosion, and second classification is wet or electrochemical corrosion. Okay, so now dry corrosion. Look, dry corrosion. Now we will discuss about the dry corrosion. So, dry corrosion. What do you mean by dry corrosion? Dry means, that means the absence of water. Exactly. So, what will happen if any type of corrosion is going through, going through without absence of water? If any type of corrosion is taking place in absence of water, that is called by chemical corrosion or dry corrosion. Dry corrosion can be different, can take place in presence of only oxygen, in presence of halogens, in presence of sulfur, or in presence of some of the liquid metals. Okay, so dry corrosions, generally there are three types. One is the dry corrosion can take place in presence of only oxygen, like iron. While iron will react with the oxygen, what will happen? Iron oxide will form, right? Yeah. Copper, while copper will react with the oxygen, we are having two types of copper oxide. One is cupric oxide, one is cuprous oxide, right? Or aluminium. If aluminum will react with the oxygen, what will happen? It will form the aluminum oxide layer. Okay, so these are the dry corrosions in absence of water and in presence of oxygen. Now, rather than, if the dry corrosion will take place rather than the oxygen, like chloride, any type of halogens like chlorine gas, in presence of chlorine gas, in presence of hydrogen sulfide gas, what will happen? For that case also, that is also the dry corrosion, as because the corrosion is taking place in absence of water, right? And but that is also in presence of chloride or hydrogen sulfide, like silver. I was talking about the silver jewelries. After some time, on the silver jewelry, some of the black color coating will take place. What is that black color coating? That is a silver sulfide. Okay, so that is also one type of dry corrosion, right? In absence of water. So hydrogen sulfide, in presence of hydrogen sulfide, silver sulfide will form. Next, if we have aluminium, if aluminum is exposed to the chlorine gas, what will happen? Aluminum chloride will form on the surface of the aluminum metal. One chlorine aluminum chloride layer will form. So that is also one type of dry corrosion in absence of Water, obviously. So this is the second type of dry corrosion which can take place in absence of water. And the last type of dry corrosion that we have, that is that is the in presence of liquid metal. That means if we have metals and if we increase the temperature of the metal, what will happen? The metal will melt. So that is our liquid metal. Like we are taking sodium metal, right? Sodium metal we are taking, and what will happen? If we are heating that sodium metal, that will melt. Now that molten sodium metal, if we are passing through a calcium, this is a calcium metal, and we are passing through this calcium metal, the molten sodium, what will happen? While sodium will pass through this on the surface of this calcium, it will enter into the calcium metal, and it will make the corrosion. It will so this process is also a dry corrosion, process of dry corrosion, but in presence of liquid metal. So dry corrosion are of three types. One is in presence of oxygen, it can take place. In presence of halogens or chloride gas or hydrogen sulfide, it can take place rather than oxygen. And in the third case, it can take place in presence of what in presence of liquid metal. Okay, so these are the three types of dry corrosion that we have. Okay, now come to the part that is the weight or electrochemical theory of corrosion. Okay, so generally you can have this type of question like discuss about the electrochemical theory of corrosion, or you can have this type of question like what do you mean by electrochemical theory of corrosion? And that time these are the questions very common that is frequently coming into the exams. So that time you have to write down some of the reactions. What are the reactions are taking place in chemical corrosion? That reaction you have to write down. Okay, and that time only you can get the full marks. Now weight or electrochemical corrosion, that means ki weight corrosion, that means obviously this corrosion is taking place in presence of water, and that is the rust formation. As for example, rusting is a perfect example of wet corrosion or electrochemical corrosion. Okay, that means the corrosion is taking place in presence of water. Now what are the in wet or electrochemical theory of corrosion? According to this theory, we have three types of reactions generally are taking place. One is anodic reaction, one is cathodic reaction, and one is overall reaction. Okay, so anodic reaction means anode, you know, all you have read the electrochemistry, you know the anode. At anode always we have the oxidation reaction, and oxidation reaction means the electron what? Electron releasing reaction. Very good. Okay, so what will happen? Oxidation here at anode, the metal oxidation of the metal will take place. So like if we are taking iron metal, so iron is releasing two electrons, and it will form iron plus 2, and 2 electron will be released. So this is the anodic reaction. That means anodic reaction means the oxidation reaction, and which is oxidized excuse me, which is oxidized here, the metal will be oxidized. Okay, so here we have taken as for example the iron metal. That's why iron will release the electrons, and it will form iron plus 2, and 2 electron will be released. Now cathodic reaction, obviously cathodic reaction is the reduction reaction. Anodic, if the anodic reaction means the oxidation reaction, so at a cathode obviously we have the reduction reaction. Now reduction reaction, that means what? Reduction reaction, that means acceptance of electron. Okay, so where these electrons are coming? These electrons are coming from the anodic reaction. Whatever the metals are releasing the electrons, that electrons come here, and it will react. Understand? Okay, now cathodic reaction, we have, there are four types of reactions we have. First, condition number one, that is in presence of oxygen. In cathodic reaction, we have four types of reaction. First condition is in presence of oxygen. What will happen? H plus, yes, in presence of oxygen, and obviously the medium will be acidic. Look here, the H plus will reacting. That means the medium should be acidic here. So in presence of oxygen and in acidic medium, H plus plus electron plus oxygen, it will bind up and it will form the H2O molecule. Okay. Okay, so this is the acidic medium. Now neutral condition, neutral medium reaction. Neutral medium means we don't have the acid, we don't have the base, right? So now electron will react with the oxygen molecule and water molecule, and it will form the hydroxyl OH minus ion. Okay, so this is these are the two reactions which is taking place in presence of oxygen. This is condition number one. Now condition number two is in absence of oxygen. Now what will happen? In absence of oxygen, again we have two conditions, like one is acidic medium, one is neutral medium. Acidic medium means we have the H plus, right? So this H plus will add the electron. Here we don't have the oxygen because these reactions are taking place in absence of oxygen or very less amount of oxygen. So that means H plus plus electron, it will this H plus will abstract the electron and it will form the hydrogen. Okay, and in the neutral condition medium, now what will happen? That electron will again react with the H2O and it will form the OH minus. Okay, and so this is all about the cathodic reaction. These four reactions are all are reduction reaction, and reduction reaction, that means what? That is acceptance of electron. And after this reduction reaction, we are having what? We are having the OH minus, the hydroxyl ion. Okay, now what will be the third step reaction? The third step reaction will be obviously whatever the metal and iron plus 2 we have got from the anodic condition, and from the cathodic condition we have got the OH minus. So iron plus 2 plus OH minus, it will react and iron hydroxide will form. Understand? Is this clear? Yeah. So if we have this type of question, discuss about the electrochemical theory of corrosion or weight theory of corrosion, that time you have to write down all these reactions, the anodic reactions, the four cathodic reactions, and the overall reactions. Okay, so all these reactions while you will write, that time only you will get the full marks. Very easy questions. Only you have to memorize some of the reactions. How you can memorize? Just you have to remember, at the anode we have the oxidation reaction, and we know all that oxidation reaction means the releasing of the electron, right? And who will oxidize? Only the metal will be oxidized in the anode, right? Our cathodic reaction, what are the cathodic reaction? Cathodic reaction means acceptance of electron. Generally here we are having the OH minus, formation of OH minus will take place. Okay, so this is all about the electrochemical theory of corrosion. Now next day we will discuss the some of the types of electrochemical corrosion. We will see the examples of electrochemical corrosion, we will see, and also we will see what will be the prevention method, how we can prevent the metals from the corrosion process, because as I told you, corrosion process is very harmful, and disadvantageous, as because the mechanical property, some of the chemical property will change, will be deteriorated after the corrosion process. Okay, so this is our today's class. So in today's class, what are the topics that we have discussed? Just first of all, we have discussed about the importance of corrosion, why this corrosion chapter is incorporated into your um, syllabus. Okay, second thing, we have discussed about the definition of corrosion. What is definition? That is the deterioration, continuous deterioration of the metal surface in presence of the surrounding chemicals, that is called by corrosion. Okay, third topic that we have discussed, that is the cause of corrosion, very important. Okay, this type of question generally you have like, if the corrosion process is disadvantageous but still metals are having the corrosion process, why? Discuss about the cause of corrosion. Okay, so generally what will happen, after the corrosion process, metals are forming oxide layer, or hydroxide layer, or sulfide layer. Okay, after formation of this layer, what will happen, the metal will get the thermodynamical stability. Very you have to remember this word, that is thermodynamical stability. So for this, to gain this thermodynamical stability, metals are having the corrosion process. Okay, Acha. Next, what are the effects of corrosion? If the corrosion process is going on, that means we have to take care of our instruments, because there are so many instruments are made of metal. So the maintenance charge will be high. We have to synthesize the material in such a way so that corrosion process will be deteriorated, and also the some of the mechanical property, chemical property will be deteriorated. Okay, so these are the some of the effects of the corrosion process. Now we have discussed the classification of corrosion. What are the types of classification corrosion? One is dry corrosion, that is absence of water, the corrosion is taking place, or wet corrosion, that is the in presence of water the corrosion is taking place. Okay, okay, so dry corrosion, again three types. It can The dry corrosion can take place in three process. One is in presence of oxygen, in presence of chloride gas, or any type of halogen gas, and or hydrogen sulfide, and in presence of liquid metal. So these are the three types of dry corrosion. And next, the last topic that we have discussed, that is the electrochemical theory of corrosion, very important. Okay, electrochemical theory of corrosion, if you have this question, that means you have to write down the reactions, whatever the reaction mechanism, how the corrosion, wet corrosion is going on, that process you have to write down. Okay, so generally we have three types of reaction. One is anodic reaction, that is oxidation of metal; cathodic reaction, that is reduction reaction; and the overall reaction, the formation of the layer. Okay, so these are the some of the topics that we have discussed today. Hopefully you have got all the topics, and please students, follow the classes very well, properly, otherwise you can't understand all the topics, and also you can do the assignments whatever I have given you in proper time. So thank you students, have a safe day.